In this video, we're going to be looking at the idea of customer expectations, how those expectations are formed, and what you can do in your company or your organisation to manage those expectations. Firstly, it's important for us to understand what this term actually means. So, customer expectations are what the customer expects to receive from an organisation relating to their product or their services. And this relates to all stages of that relationship. So, before, during, and after any transaction that a customer makes with the organisation. There are lots of different ways in which customer expectations are formed, and it's really important to understand these so that we can best work in our organisations to make sure that people are building the customer expectations that we want, that we desire. So, the main way in which customer expectations are formed are through what customers hear, see, and read. So some of this is to do with brand messages, and brand messages is a way of describing any way that an organisation promotes itself publicly. So the public face, the messages that are being given off willingly by the organisation. So you might find some of these messages on things like company websites, in mission statements, for example. They'll also be echoed in the way that an organisation advertises itself or the way it presents itself through social media of different kinds. Also through its association with different brand ambassadors. And through things like the style of the building or the premises in which a customer meets that brand. So those might be different qualities like how inviting or modern or old or cluttered or dark. Those different qualities about the style of the building, the place in which these transactions happen. Another important element that goes into informing customer expectations is the idea of reputation. Now, this is partly built up through an idea of the word of mouth recommendations from family and friends. Also, things like reviews and comparison websites. This is where a lot of people are looking before they make their choices about which goods or services to buy. We'll see reputation being talked about in articles and press coverage of different kinds, and also in something that's called the price-quality relationship. So this is the idea that we as customers we can know what to expect potentially with the high price of goods and our expectation from that being high quality. That's one example of that price-quality relationship. Expectations of any brand or organisation are also formed through customers' past experience. So this is thinking about how customers reflect on how they were treated, the quality of the service that they received, this in comparison with other competitors. So was the service quicker, slower, more polite, more functional, more knowledgeable than other similar organisations providing that service? Also things like how friendly or welcoming, professional or interested those servers are, so the people who the customer meets and interacts with, again, before, during and after their transaction. One of the things that's important for organisations to think about is how customer needs and expectations are balanced with those of the organisation themselves. So organisations will always have limited resource, limited budget, time, staffing, and they need to be able to balance what their customers need and expect with what they can actually provide. So this happens in lots of different ways. One of these will be about understanding customer expectations. So really knowing what your customers, the customers of your organization, need and expect. Looking at ways of setting standards and meeting these. So organizations might produce something like a customer charter or service level agreements, and that allows customers and the organization to have like a series of benchmarks, so that people understand how long they might wait for a refund to be processed, or how their complaint might be dealt with, or how long it will take them to receive goods or services and at what kind of cost. Also, organisations need to think about how they manage the expectations of their customers. So, being realistic about what is possible, what can actually be delivered, and not over promising to customers. So, often when we're dealing with other people, we want to make sure that they're really happy, and we might go out of our way to do this. But being able to do this reliably and consistently is something that your organisation needs to think about. You could also be thinking about how to negotiate conflicting expectations. So, when a customer and an organisation come together, maybe to provide something like a mobile phone contract, so the customer might want to be able to leave the phone shop that day with their choice of phone with full network coverage straight away. So that's an example of the timescale that might be involved in setting up a customer interaction. However, the organisation that's providing that contract and providing that mobile phone needs to negotiate what they can actually provide in terms of logistics or in terms of a legal process that they're involved in with building a contract. So beforehand, all of this is negotiated to work out any of those conflicting points to make the best service possible for customers. It also might be about developing the skills of the people who deliver the service. So this might be anyone who's working in the front of house section of an organisation. So maybe at a museum, we've got somebody meeting and greeting guests or customers or visitors as they come in. And they're going to need to have some training and some preparation in terms of their interpersonal skills, the way that they communicate, maybe also the way that they influence and persuade those visitors to look at different parts of the museum or check out different things. And they also need to really know a lot about what it is that they're delivering. So they'll need to know what exhibitions are on, when the closing or opening times are, all of the different things that museum, for example, provides. That would be the product knowledge in this case. And once your organisation has looked at all of these different customer needs and expectations, they can work out ways to balance those, work out ways to understand what they can provide successfully and consistently. So those are really important elements of this customer service relationship.